Well, I think I didn't talk very much as a child, and I was very quiet, so I probably had, about 20 some odd years of talking to do. So it's good that I found an outlet for it, because I was very quiet as a kid.
Yeah, but did you in college fall in love with someone who was in the drama department?
Yeah, I did. I had a terrible crush on a guy that we did date for a while, who was the president of the student union at this college, but he was a very kind of cool guy for the times and very kind of revolutionary, and it was a very conservative school, and somehow he got elected by accident, and he was also an actor and a playwright and very kind of wild guy, and I had this terrific crush on him.
And that got you into acting,
Yeah,
huh?
and so I was hanging around, and one day somebody was doing, first it started with a student production. They were doing a Van Italy, Jean-Claude Van Italy. I forgot his first two names, but I think it's Van Italy play. And I did that. Someone said, oh, you do that. And I said, well, I don't know. And it was a funny play, and so that's how it started.
So that started the comedy then, right?
Yeah.
You said you went 20 years without talking. Why? Were you shy?
Very shy. I used to write poetry, and I read an awful lot.
Why do you think you were so shy?
Well, I was very encouraged in my house to be like intellectual and read a lot and stuff like that. And also, my father worked at home because he was a cartoonist, and so you had to be very quiet while he was working. So that might have had something to do with it, which I never realized till I was talking to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I never did, because we were talking about this a lot lately, and I never really put the two together. But you had to be, like when you came home from school, you had to be very quiet, because he was drawing and concentrating, and so you did everything very quietly.
The character of Mr. Pesto, the voice and the characterization and all of that, was it just very natural for you?
Yes. It's definitely one side of me, and maybe a side that is most on the service of my own personality right now because I'm working so hard on the show, but it's a side of me. And it's a side of me that I think strongly of myself that way maybe 5-10 years ago, actually. I was much more like her than I am now, but I remember what it was like. But just like from moving around as a child or having different contrasts in your life, but when I moved to New Mexico in my early 20s.
To Santa Fe, right?
To Santa Fe, and I was with some regional theater groups out there, and with some expatriates of the Open Theater, which was kind of a revolutionary group in New York in the 60s and stuff, and they moved out to New Mexico, and I joined them there and stuff. And I moved back to New York from New Mexico, and that's what I think of Mr. Pesto as, because it was so strange for me to be back in New York after a couple of years in Santa Fe that I was very disoriented, and the way that people normally did things was not the way I did. So like, when I got my first job, I was doing a restaurant job when I first came back to the city, working in an Italian restaurant in the Village. And the first day I go up, and I put in an order for food, and I come back, and there's like 20 things in tin casseroles, sitting there, and all of them have red sauce and cheese on top, right? So I introduce myself to the chef, and I tell him my name, and I say I'm new here and everything, and could you please tell me which are my lasagnas, And I asked him, look really nice, and he said, take something and get out of here. He said, I don't care what you take, just take something and go. And, and I kept saying, but you don't understand, I don't know what anything is. And he kept saying, I don't care, just get out of here. So it became survival of the fittest again, which I had been out of for a while.
Yeah.
So
you don't miss New York, do you?
No, not at all.
I have the sense that the moonlighting set must be a wacky place. Crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah?
It is. It's really fun. We work very, very hard on our show, so sometimes that puts a different edge on it. But Bruce is very, very funny on the set, and Sybil's very, very funny too. And the chemistry that you see between them, and between all of us on the show is not something you could sort of just turn off. I mean, you could sort of come to work that way.
The way the three of you work together on Moonlighting, Sybil Shepherd, Bruce Willis, and you, is wonderful. And yet, everybody brings a different kind of timing, I suppose, to the performance. But
yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah, it does. But that's what this year has been about a lot, is working that out. Is not in any kind of a contest way or a bad way, but it really is working that out on a kind of, because everything moves so fast on Moonlighting. So we've been working that out little by little, and I think it's getting better and better.
Are you close? Are you friends? Do you see each other off the set?
No, I don't think so. I really can't speak for Sybil and Bruce. I don't think so either, but we feel great about each other. It's just that we have a really hard schedule, and we've been working 14 hours a day. And if there's time for girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, children, Sybil has a child, that takes place on the weekends.
Yeah. Your husband, Vincent, how did the two of you meet?
We met, he's an actor also, and we met doing an episode of Taxi.
Did you?
About 3.5 years ago.
Was it love at first sight?
I think so. I think so. We liked each other at first sight, and we saw each other right away afterwards. We met at this taping, and they have like a little dinner afterwards and stuff, and then we went and got a drink together. and he said he'd call me, and he did, like, you know, within like a day or something. But I didn't think I was at first interested in the relationship at the time, and he knew that he was. So I
That
guess
was
it's
it,
still
huh?
love at first sight. But he was the most persistent person I've ever met.
Yeah?
In a very, yes, in a wonderful way. I mean, he's probably saved my life. I mean,
What do you
making
mean?
well, just having, you know, him and having a relationship, and, you know, knowing that that's very real is a very good thing.
How about the future? Where do you see yourself when you're 40 or 45?
I mean, professionally?
Yeah.
Well, I've never done any movies. I'd like to do a movie. I'd like to like, if anyone says, "Oh, do you like doing movies, Lise?" I have to really say I really don't know. So, because I know that, you know, I've heard from people, and I know that I'm beginning to see what the TV process is, and I know what the theater process is. I would really love to continue doing theater all my life, because I feel like that's the most fun for the actor.
Yeah.
Because you own that. I mean, once the curtain goes up, nobody's, you know, can change what you're doing or influence what you're doing. You really own it, and it has its own life that way, and I really miss that. I like doing live television shows for that reason, too.
Yeah.
But I'd like to do movies, and I just like the chance to do all different kinds of characters, which I know everybody says, and it's true. Everybody wants
When
that.
the writers write lines like "you de-Daved him," is that your line or is that the writer's line?
That's the writer's line.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do it. Do
What?
it once, because I just loved it.
Oh, you de-Daved him. But it's hard because you're not Maddie, but you're
I'm not
lovely,
Maddie.
and we have a different relationship than me and Maddie do.
Yeah.
But thank you. I'm really glad that you liked the line.
I did. I like you as the character. I like you as a lady. And I
Thank
thank
you.
you very
Oh.
much. Thanks a lot, Lisa.
Very